WTOP's KCAL News, Los Angeles.
Now at 9, we've made it through one day of storms, but there are 2 more to go. Tonight, there are big concerns about mudslides and along our coasts. Alerts are up for possible flooding in the morning. We have in-depth live coverage across Southern California for you right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Juan Fernandez. Pat Harvey has the night off tonight, and it appears we've made it through the first of 3 days of heavy rain without any significant damage. But we still have 2 more days to go, and it could get even worse. We have live team coverage from the coast to our inland empire, and we begin tonight with meteorologist Evelyn Taft with your next weather. Ev?
Juan, let's get right to radar, and you're going to see just green, which means light showers, steady showers, nothing too heavy right now. But we could see heavier pockets of rain come in overnight through the morning hours and potentially as we move into tomorrow night as well. So let's get a closer look at live radar. We've been watching the PV Peninsula right now, and you will see a few showers offshore. Otherwise, we're tracking rain and snow still to our north. We still have more rain that could swing through. And what we're watching, a couple things. High surf along the coast. We could see coastal flooding. Best chance first thing in the morning as those tides really peak. A risk of flooding, mudslides, and landslides with the return of those flash flood warnings, and moderate to heavy rain into Wednesday with a chance of thunderstorms tonight, but the best chance coming in tomorrow night through Wednesday. We're going to continue to track it for you, of course, on our future cast in just a little bit. Juan, back to you.
All right, Evelyn, thanks so much. Well, people in hillside communities, they're concerned tonight, and that includes LA's Beverly Crest neighborhood around Caribou Lane and Beverly Glen Boulevard. The city has tagged 18 homes there right now, and the storm is not helping things. KCAL News reporter Joy Benedict live in Beverly Crest near some of the damage from the last storm. Joy.
Yeah, Juan, I mean, it's easy to see why people are nervous. In fact, many people on this street have chosen not to stay in their homes tonight just because the rain is coming down and they really don't know what's happening next. But, I mean, take a look at this damage. This is from 2 weeks ago. It's really the first chance, though, that we're getting to see these vehicles because they were just towed out of a carport from a home that was destroyed in the mudslides 2 weeks ago. The city came in and demolished that home in the last few days simply because they were worried about the extra rain coming. It's an eerie sight on Caribou Lane, as a once busy street seems empty and red tags have replaced the neighbors who once lived here.
We're going to stay and keep an eye on things.
Travis Longcore is one of the few still in his home after the storm 2 weeks ago washed this house off its foundation and forced 3 more to be unlivable.
There's 3 families who are out of their homes, and of course waiting on this recovery effort to be able to get back in and get various degrees of damage repaired.
Just a couple of days ago, the city started tearing down that home, fearful that this storm would cause further damage to the street. And it isn't the only one. During the last 2 weeks, the city has been assessing properties all over the hillside.
Since the last storm, we've had grading assessments on private property that are conducted by Building and Safety, and that then informs the homeowners of the precautionary measures that they need to take ahead of this rain that's coming to ensure that they protect their land against a potential mudslide.
The LA Department of Building and Safety says during the last storm, it red tagged 3 homes and yellow tagged 7 more. Since then, they've found an additional 8 homes that are damaged or unlivable. Thankfully, no homes were reported damaged today, but there were other problems with this rainfall. Crews were busy repairing roads and clearing debris.
It's the price we in California pay for living in a beautiful place. And the second is there's hazards everywhere in California, and eventually it's your time in the barrel.
But homeowners like Longcore say they never expected it to be a rain barrel, causing so much damage.
Some slides up there in the past, but nothing of the magnitude and significance of this.
I mean, yeah, this was so extreme, what happened over here 2 weeks ago. But again, I did just speak with the Los Angeles Fire Department, and they say so far they are not seeing any reports of the mud that we saw 2 weeks ago. But again, as Evelyn has been saying, this storm is far from over. Juan.
All right. Thanks so much, Joy. Well, despite not as much rain, alerts are up tonight along the entire LA and Orange County coast for possible flooding and dangerous surf. KCAL's Leslie Maring is in Long Beach right now, where people there are prepping with sandbags. Leslie.
Yeah, Juan, we're standing in the peninsula area of Long Beach, and take a look. This here is a common scene. Sandbags lining garage doors, front doors here in this neighborhood. Many residents telling us they're worried not only about this rain, but this high surf.
We're very worried down here on the peninsula.
That worry has Judy Fortune, along with many of her neighbors, lining their homes with sandbags. The peninsula neighborhood is bracing for possible coastal flooding, something Fortune has already dealt with this year.
The water was up to the bricks here on the house, but it didn't get into the house. It just got into the garage.
Up and down the LA and Orange County coast, the National Weather Service is warning of high surf, waves anywhere from 6 to 12 feet, which could lead to possible structure and pier damage and flooding during high tide Tuesday morning as people are waking up. On Monday, marine safety crews helped reinforce the berm right near homes along Seaside Walk. The berm, though, does that normally hold?
Usually, but not always. You can see where the water will flow over the berm, and people have sandbagged along Seaside Walk.
Down the street, another team helped prepare sandbags for residents who may need them in the coming hours. While rain left the dinner crowd on 2nd Street a bit damp, many people still ventured out, while others needed a little convincing.
I was like, we need to go outside. We have to get a little bit of sun. Well, fresh air, I guess, because there's no sun. No sun.
And I'm happy. I'm happy I came out.
Yeah, quickly changed his mind. They even got ice cream there. But I will tell you, this high surf expected to be the worst really tomorrow morning during the high tide between 6 to 9 a.m. Reporting live in Long Beach, Leslie Manning, KCAL News.
Yeah, we'll be keeping our eye on the coast. Leslie, thank you. Well, trees came crashing down in many places today. The ground is just so saturated. In Silver Lake, this one fell on cars near Sanborn and Effie. Residents say they've been worried about the trees in the neighborhood for a while now, and they expected something to go wrong since the trees haven't been trimmed.
His deputy told me that we have no trees on the street and that we're fine, so nobody has done anything. And so I knew that this was going to be an issue at some point. And unfortunately, it was on me, even though I was the one trying to tell them.
Well, Bloom needs to take her car in to find out the extent of the damage caused. Santa Barbara and Ventura County has got the worst of it today. KCAL's Lori Perez continues our team coverage live now in downtown Ventura. Lori.
Juan, you said that right. Ventura County and Santa Barbara really just got drenched overnight. In the mountains, up to 7 inches, 3 inches here downtown. Thankfully, there have not been any major problems, but with rivers and creeks full and hillsides saturated and more rain to come, the chance of problems remains.
It's crazy, the rain coming down. It's like, it gets really cold out.
Another night of start and stop, but mostly sticking around rain, and Ventura has locals crouched again under umbrellas, huddled up and hiding from the drops that just keep coming. The wet weather set a pretty sparkling scene downtown. Not that many are seeing it. The rain seems to be keeping crowds away. Bad for business. But good news to firefighters who have been urging drivers to stay off the roads if they can. So many streets in the county, like Highway 33 and Casitas Springs, are getting overwhelmed by another round of storms. Already saturated hillsides dissolving with more rain. Fire crews were in a race Monday to shovel away mud and water, sandbagging to divert the runoff away from homes and off roadways. Trouble spots like Camp Chaffee Road are troubled once again as inches of rain have quickly built up. An evacuation warning went into effect as the already flooded waters rose right up to doorways. The road not even visible at all under the feet of muddy water. And anything that ran off hillsides and didn't cause problems inland ended up here. Mud and branches and rocks spewing out of the mouth of the Ventura River into the Pacific, turning the churning waters brown and the beach into a depository of debris. Meanwhile, offshore, a high surf advisory remains in effect until Tuesday night, with waves up to 16 feet high possible, raising the possibility of coastal flooding. Experts say Tuesday morning will be the peak. The county and city have reinforced berms to keep water away from homes and businesses still recovering from the storm last week and late last year. All that being said, some say they are still trying to see the positive in all this dismal weather.
I think it's great. I think we need it. It's unfortunate that the freeways are sometimes flooded, but you know, it is what it is.
That was Lori Perez reporting for us from downtown Ventura. Well, the rain has been pretty light out in the Inland Empire, but they are expecting a lot more of it tomorrow. KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock continues our team coverage live from Rialto to show us the preparations underway there. Nicole?
Juan, it is dark and damp out here tonight in Rialto. We did have some light rain, as you mentioned, falling throughout the evening out here, but for the most part, people are really getting ready for the heavier rain starting to come in early tomorrow morning.
It's raining in Rialto tonight, but the wet weather won't stop Joseph Sanchez
I've done it in worse weather.
from cooking up a storm outdoors.
No, I just really wanted a barbecue, so like whatever it takes, I didn't care. You know, I have the garage, the easy up, and thankfully it's not raining too hard.
But up to 2 inches of rain could fall in the Inland Empire starting early Tuesday morning and lasting through Wednesday afternoon. So people are loading up sandbags at Wildwood Park in San Bernardino and protecting their foothill homes from any potential flooding.
You know, they're predicting it 2-day rain in next week, so we just want to make sure that the rain is not coming in and will hold out.
George McCullough has sandbags leading down a hill behind his home. It's near a 5-year-old burn scar, which is always a concern.
With all this rain, the vegetation's getting to be insane again. I'm pretty safe now after all the preparations that we've done in the past.
San Bernardino County says it has its fire departments 100% staffed during this next storm, including swiftwater rescue teams that are ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Lytle Creek is an area they always keep under close watch. We checked back in with Hidden Acres. The event venue just rebuilt its main road after it was washed out in the storm 2 weeks ago. So many are hoping we see less damaging rain this time around.
We need it, but yeah, they've been intense, you know, nonstop from the last few weeks.
Well, the good news is, of course, it looks like this storm should be less severe than the last one we had 2 weeks ago. But with that being said, there were quite a few swiftwater rescues that had to take place out here across the Inland Empire, actually, during that storm. These were people that got stuck in areas with rising floodwater near flood channels, flooded roadways, pretty much every area you can imagine. So worth noting that you should stay away from all of the above during this next storm and any storm for that matter. Reporting live in Rialto, I'm Nicole Comstock, KCAL News.
Nicole, thank you. Our Storm Watch coverage continues next with our Mike Rogers on the desk.
Yeah, one Southern California community has been hit especially hard by all this weather, and it's causing a lot of land movement. Who they want to come take a look at the damage in person.
And we're taking a close look at the PV Peninsula, of course. We have our eyes on you. We are also looking for flash flooding and coastal flooding as well. We'll have the details next.
KCAL News is on Storm Watch tonight. Another atmospheric river dumping rain across Southern California, and there's more on the way. This latest round of rain means more weather worries tonight for storm-weary Rancho Palos Verdes. 2 homes have already been red tagged in the Seaview neighborhood because of an ongoing landslide. And all the rain this year has only made things worse. Tonight, residents are being asked to report new cracks and slippage on their properties.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little scary because nobody knows when things are going to move. I mean, we're lucky. We're like, so far, we're good. You know, we don't have any serious problems. But as you know, right across the street, you know, it's red tagged. So.
Meanwhile, the historic Wayfarers Chapel is now shut down because of land movement. Well, the constant land movement in Rancho Palos Verdes has prompted elected leaders to ask for help. KCAL News assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike, Supervisor Janice Hahn asked the governor to come look at this damage.
Yeah, you know, Juan, Supervisor Hahn says that the land movement is getting worse and worse by the day and says they urgently need Governor Newsom's help. I want to show you a portion of a tweet that she put out today saying, quote, "I think if the governor came here and saw the buckling streets, homes sinking and cracking apart, and the historic Wayfarers Chapel on the verge of collapsing, he would understand the urgency of this request. I urge the governor to visit us and see it with his own eyes. Now, of course, the damage there is pretty significant and has been for quite some time, even going back to last year with the storms then. So I reached out to the governor's office and I asked them to give me a response to Supervisor Han's tweets. Does the governor plan to declare a state of emergency? Will he come down and look at it? They wouldn't answer the second part of that question, but they directed me to the Office of Emergency Services, who tells me that there already is a declaration, an emergency declaration in place for all of LA County related to the storms earlier in the month. Now, they wouldn't answer the question as to whether a specific emergency declaration for this area would really make any difference, but they did tell me, and I thought was interesting, that they've already reached out to the LA County Office of Emergency Management and asked them if they need any help with this Ranchos Palos Verdes area, and apparently the LA County Office of Emergency Management said, no, we don't need the state's help here. So a little interesting there. I did reach back out to Janice Han's team and asked her, does the supervisor plan to work with the county to help get help for this area, especially since the county apparently already told the state that they don't need any help here. Her office says that they will. The governor's office, meanwhile, not commenting to me tonight on whether or not he will come down and tour that damage at the supervisor's request. Juan.
All right, Mike, thanks for that. Well, some of the heaviest rain is still to come, and meteorologist Evelyn Taft has details now in your next weather. Ev?
Juan, let's get right to that radar. There is heavy rain, like you mentioned, and it's still around the corner, even though it feels like it's sort of letting up a little bit. We can't let our guards down yet. We say that a lot. We've been saying that a lot with these last storm systems that have passed through. But here's the deal with this sort of next batch of rain that's moving in. We're expecting thunderstorms as we so that's where things get a little hairy, right? Thunderstorms as we head into the overnight hours potentially, but the best chance will take place tomorrow night through our Wednesday morning. So we still have 2 nights to go. As we get a look at rain right now, you'll see a few showers now moving into Orange County. It was a little quieter for us in Orange County and the IE earlier today, but now we're going to start to see a little more activity there. As we get a look at the PV Peninsula, we have a very close eye on the PV Peninsula right now, and you will see some heavier rain starting to move through. Now, as we get a look at the big picture, rain and snow to our north, and that's all going to slide into our forecast area as we head into tomorrow. So here is what we're watching. Not only are we expecting heavy rain and the potential for mudslides and landslides, along with flash flooding, we're also looking at very high surf as a large swell comes in along our south-facing beaches, rather. And with that, we could see coastal flooding. In fact, we've got coastal flood advisories in effect. High tide tomorrow could be pretty rough. So as we look at futurecast right here, you will see a few showers continuing to develop overnight with some pockets of heavier rain really starting to show up by 4 a.m., 5:30 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. We're looking at pockets of heavier rain staying with us right around that morning commute going back to school and work tomorrow. 10:30, we're looking at heavier rain in the higher elevations along with mountain snow. By 3 o'clock tomorrow, you still can expect to see heavier rain and snow. Again, snow levels starting to drop off a little for us tomorrow. We actually get a little bit of a break around dinner time or so. Things are still wet, but just not as wet. And then we kind of pick up the pace again as we head into the overnight hours tomorrow. So in the early morning hours Wednesday, we're expecting heavy rain with downpours staying with us through Wednesday morning. And then we're expecting to see maybe some light showers stay with us through the afternoon on Wednesday. So still looking at more rain in addition to what we've already had. So just keep that in mind as we get a look at one more watch and warning for you. We're no longer looking at those flash flood warnings rather, but we are looking at high surf advisories with large breaking waves 10 to 15 feet expected and coastal flood advisories staying with us with the greatest risk of flooding during the morning high tide tomorrow. Temperatures tomorrow cool, 50s, few 60s, not a lot. 59 Chino, 56 in Pasadena, and 62 in downtown. And as we get a look at my 7-day forecast for the basin in Orange County, you'll see 60s, but more importantly, you'll see wet conditions through Wednesday and possibly another chance over the weekend into Monday of next week. Juan, back to you.
Evelyn, thank you. Still ahead here at 9, President Biden returns to Southern California for fundraising. Plus, critics of LA County District Attorney George Gascon are coming for his job. We'll go one-on-one with the DA as he faces re-election. Israel has given Hamas a deadline to return hostages held in Gaza or face a ground offensive in the city of Rafah. where 1.5 million civilians are sheltering. That deadline is by the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which begins in early March. CBS's Holly Williams reports anger is growing across Israel over a newly released video showing the youngest hostage being held by Hamas.
Tonight, Israel's military released this security camera video, which they say they recently found in southern Gaza, apparently showing the Bibas family the same day they were kidnapped, October 7th, being moved by the militants. Baby Kafir was 9 months old at the time, the youngest hostage, taken with his 4-year-old brother Ariel and their parents Shiri and Yarden. In November, as Hamas released over 100 hostages during a 7-day ceasefire, the group claimed Shiri and her 2 children had been killed in an airstrike. But the militants haven't shown any proof or handed over any bodies. Despite mounting international criticism, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu seems determined to launch an offensive in Rafah. Tonight, he vowed to punish the militants who took the Bibas family.
We will bring these kidnappers of babies and mothers to justice.
I say, give them what they want. Just bring me back my family.
Yifat Zyla is a cousin of Shiri Bibas and her 2 boys. We spoke to her before the new video was made public.
So you're in a kind of limbo. For me, my family is still there, still very much alive until, we receive the confirmation.
There are thought to be around 130 remaining hostages. Tonight, Hamas said it will only free them in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Today, members of the Jewish community and their allies held a 12-hour shiva near the Brentwood home of Vice President Kamala Harris. Demonstrators called for a ceasefire and an end of U.S. military aid to Israel.
We are tearing pieces of black cloth and pinning them to our clothing. We're sitting on low benches, and we're here really mourning all of the Israelis and Palestinians who have been killed since October.
Demonstrators say they want equality and justice for both Palestinians and Israelis. Covered California has broken another enrollment record this year. Nearly 1.8 million Californians are now part of Covered California. That's an increase of over 300,000. The executive director of Covered California says more federal subsidies plus the state's new cost-sharing revenue program helped break the record as Covered California continues to expand.
We're now a decade in. I think people are becoming familiar with the idea that, if I lose coverage from another source, Covered California is who I call.
The record number comes despite rates going up almost 10% this year. Recent studies show that at least 1 in 3 college students are dealing with food insecurity. University of California, Davis has found an innovative way to deal with the problem. CBS's Elise Preston shows us how they're helping struggling students.
At the University of California, Davis, students may have an appetite for knowledge, but this line isn't for textbooks. It's to receive food.
Rent is unbelievably expensive, and it's unfortunate that food and groceries and just basic needs costs are so gigantic.
Senior Erin Cashin showed up 90 minutes before the doors opened at the on-campus food pantry.
I literally structure my class schedules around being able to come to the pantry.
It's run by students, many of whom are working here because they found help here.
It feels good to give back and know that I'm needed here.
Can you describe what it feels like when you don't know where your next meal is coming from?
Just really anxious.
Leslie Kemp runs the university's Basic Needs Center. She believes it's important to offer items like fresh produce, some of which is grown on the student farm and donated to the pantry.
$1 today buys a third of the commodities that it bought when I was in school.
There are now close to 800 food pantries on college campuses. A decade ago, there were just 80. UC Davis was one of the first to open up its pantry, buried in the basement. Now the pantry is at the heart of the campus. It's not intended for those with a meal plan or who can afford groceries. but it's open to anyone with a student ID, no questions asked.
Do you fear that people will take advantage of the system?
If we've got 10 students coming in and 3 didn't need it, I'm okay with that, as long as we get those 7 who did need it.
What kind of load does that lift off of you?
Oh, huge.
For Erin Cashin,
a dozen eggs.
She's stretching her dollars, but only taking what she needs.
Pasta.
You're being aware of everyone else who is in this struggle with you.
I think that's kind of what comes with a gift economy. So let me make sure I leave some behind for the next person.
No regrets, no stigma, and one very big benefit.
It absolutely affects my academic performance. It would definitely affect mental health without being able to do this.
That's certainly food for thought.
That was Elise Preston reporting. Coming up, global outrage over the death of Vladimir Putin critic Alexei Navalny. What his widow is saying tonight as hundreds of people are arrested in Russia.
Oh, man. Hold on. Let me get you guys out of there.
And a police officer rescues a family after a speeding driver slams into the car, but the baby isn't breathing. The dramatic video of what happened next is next at 10. Plus, more storm video, and rain and rocks continue to come down across Southern California. Live storm team coverage continues next on KCAL News at 10. The mysterious death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has sparked silent protests across Russia and outrage around the world. Tonight, Navalny's widow is vowing to continue his fight for a free Russia as she accuses Vladimir Putin of killing her husband and hiding his body. CBS's Chris Livesay reports.
He was the Kremlin's fiercest critic. Now, Alexei Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalnaya, is filling the painful void, boldly accusing the Russian president himself.
Vladimir
Putin killed the father of my children. Putin took away the dearest thing I had. For days, the Navalny family has demanded to see his body. But tonight, Russian investigators say they will hold it for at least 2 more weeks for examination. In her searing indictment, his widow alleges it's all to cover up traces of poisoning. It was another of Putin's Novichoks, she asserts, the same nerve agent that nearly killed him in 2020. For his legions of outraged supporters, he's now a martyr. We are here to honor the memory of a hero, says Yelena. Vigils have been sprouting up across Russia, leading to roughly 400 arrests. As if speaking from the grave, Navalny sought to steal the spines of his supporters in a documentary just 2 years ago.
My message when I'm killed is very simple: not give up.
And the outrage truly is worldwide. At vigils like this one in Rome, people are demanding justice for Alexei Navalny and casting blame squarely on the Kremlin. As for the United States, President Biden says even more Russian sanctions are under consideration. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Rome.
Thanks for watching KCAL News at 9. KCAL News at 10 starts right now.